Yonko diplomatic immunity, right? Like we know that it was stated that I guess CP0 couldn't act on a Yonko because it could be like a act, it could potentially start a war. Is this something that's exclusive to CP0? Y'all think, or is it like a world government wide thing? Like, if I was a Marine and I seen a Yonko out and about, could I try to arrest him? Like what?
I,
What?
I, I oh, sorry. Continue.
Nah, go ahead. I was done.
I was gonna say that. I was just gonna say that I think it's a world government wide thing. I don't think it's only CP0. Because I mean, look at how what's his name? What's his name when I kind of stopped Kizaru from going to Wano to attack the two Yonko. It seems like that could have still affected them. So I think it's not just for CP0. I don't think it's just for CP0.
Kano stopped Kizaru because he was like, "Hey, we don't know the power of these samurai." So it was more of like he stopped them out of a fear of the unknown, not that he was like if they would have had more information on Wano, maybe he would have allowed them to go. But it just seemed like he just didn't know, what to expect from Wano because Wano, information doesn't leave Wano that often. So it's like, I don't want to send you to your death or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it had anything to do with uh, trying to prevent war. CP0 was already there.
I think it's more like they don't want it to become a known thing because anything happens to a Yonko, there will be like a repercussion because they have territory, so people will know. So maybe it's like more like it's a covert mission. If we like go after Yonko and like even though they're a fight, they will know that something happened. I think it's also more the covert part. They don't want people to know what they're doing exactly during that time.
They hold on. You said they don't want people knowing that they're going against.
Let's say they fought against a Yonko, or
Oh,
Yonko has territories. People like so there will be like repercussions, but they'll be known. So I think not going against a Yonko, it has some repercussion. Like there are people who are gonna know about it. You are gonna have to do some damage control and stuff like that. So I think it's like more like they need to have they're sure to have the permission to take on a Yonko. Not like it's not like any pirate. I think it's more like diplomatic stuff, that kind of thing.
I
How
mean,
people perceive them.
I will argue
Because it
it's
is
not.
CP0.
I will
Because it is
argue.
CP0.
I will argue it's not about perception. It's just you don't want to start a war with a Yonko.
Yeah, but more like they don't want people to know why CP. I'm talking about the CP0. Why CP0 is at Egghead? Because they didn't know CP0 fought at Egghead with the Yonko, the Straw Hat Yonko crew, and then people will ask question why. I think it's more like they don't want people knowing their business. Most likely, this is like almost nobody knows about that. So then they have to do damage control. So maybe to avoid all of that.
I'm a little confused on where you're getting. Like,
Well, think of it like this: right now they went there to kill the Vegapunk. If
yeah,
they fight against, if it's a blown on thing with a Yonko, and it's known across the different Yonko territories that CP0 and Luffy fought, then they found out it's because they were protecting Vegapunk. More like they don't want people knowing their business, like the world knowing what they're exactly doing. CP0.
I don't.
Then they have to do it. Then they have to do damage control.
Okay, so you're saying that you think that like it's more of a CP0 uh, issue. Like they
Yeah,
like
I think it's more CP0 because they're a covert organization. They're secret. They're supposed to be secret.
Joy Boy. Do you like agree with Cube or do you disagree with Cube? Is Joy Boy muted? He's muted.
Yeah, you're muted, man.
My bad. I think it's a little bit of both, like preventing an all-out war and like trying to save face
Yeah.
and not having to deal with the blowout.
Yeah. I think it's more. I think it's more about. I mean, I guess I kind of get what you guys mean, especially since it's CP0 and they're
Mhm.
supposed to be secretive. If you as CP0 or to fight a Yonko, then the information would be leak a lot easier, right? Because you're fighting a Yonko, especially if you get beat, you know. So it would make. But I think it's more of a war thing, because even Akainu kind of brought it up, right? Like Akainu was kind of saying like Akainu was talking about like, oh, they're going to start a war and all that. So I think it's more of the war aspect. You know what I mean? Like it's trying to avoid a war, because we know how powerful Yonko are. Like we've
Yeah.
seen when they took Ace, they pretty much had to prepare for a war, which happened. You know what I'm saying? So because they knew that Whitebeard wasn't going to just let that slide, and so it's like they got the eye of a Yonko such as Whitebeard, and they knew it was going to start a war, right? So I think it's more the war aspect, but I kind of get what you guys saying. I just don't believe it's necessarily mostly that.
But I do agree that I think it's like Joy Boy. It's a mix of the war and what we said as well. I think it's a mix of both, because it's true the war thing is also a huge possibility.
Yeah. The Angel, you agree with Q?
I mean, I'm sure. I don't know what to say. I guess I feel like never mind. I'm not gonna say. I feel like naturally they would both, coincide with each other. But then
Mm-hmm.
again, it seems like people know about CP0. It seems like CP9 is more of the secretive one. So I don't know what to say.
Why you think people know about CP0 though, and less about CP9?
Because CP9 is supposed to be, spy stuff. They go undercover and stuff. When we went to Water 7, CP9 was treated like a myth. And then when we go to, what's it called? When we see people going to Reverie, and then they see the CP0, it seems like they all knew them, or they already knew they existed.
But I think I disagree with that, because I think like CP0, they still do go undercover. Like they still.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
kind of get what you're saying. Like people are aware of their existence. Some people, but they still keep that anonymity. You know what I'm saying? Because they wear their mask, and we know Stussy, right? Stussy, she wears her mask as an agent, but when she's undercover as the Pleasure District Queen or whatever, right? She doesn't wear a mask. So people, her face is kind of her mask, but her mask is more of her face as far as an agent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely get what you guys saying. I guess the group can be secretive, but I don't know. But yeah, this would have a major backlash if it were to come out that CP0 attacked Straw Hat
Yeah,
Luffy.
yeah. What about
So I don't know. I feel like it's natural that the two.
yeah. So Joy Boy, do you think that CP9 is more of the secretive group than CP0? Kind of like what Angel just said.
Well, it does seem like people have more knowledge on CP0. Like they know they exist.
Mm-hmm.
Like versus like what Angel was saying, like how in Water 7, like they were kind of revered as maybe existing, not existing for CP9.
Yeah. I mean, is it necessary for CP0 to be secretive though? You know what I'm saying? Is it necessary, because they just do jobs for the Celestials, right? Whereas for CP9, they're more just strictly undercover. You know what I mean? I would think CP0 would be maybe not have the need for the secrecy.
No, I think they would need it more since like they're like yeah they're like the personal protectors for the celestial dragons, but they still I think they take on like like higher government jobs than what CP9 does.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but like, but in all honesty, we didn't really know about CP0 until post Tom's dress roast. I want to say that's when we
Mhm.
kind of learned about CP0. So, what about you, Q? Same question I asked Angel or Joy Boy.
So for me, I think it's more like the ranking. I think like CP9 like is the lowest and CP0 is the highest, and it's more like the who they deal with. And I think CP0 is more known because they go like they're the one who deals with like high level pirates, royal stuff. I think it's more in that sense. I don't think CP9 is like more secretive. It's just the mission they deal with is easily forgettable. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's minor like compared to the world scale.
I get what you're saying. It's just CP0 deals with a lot higher end missions,
Yeah.
so you know.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, I feel like it being known is a good thing.
Mm, that's it.
Yeah, like I feel CP0 being known is a good thing.
I thought you had more to say. You like cut Cube off the.
I don't know what to say. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like that. I just feel like that brand, like, I feel like CP0 is like meant to be known.
Okay.
Like, I don't feel like they try to hide their existence like they do CP9.
So speaking back on at the Yonko, right? So would you say that maybe CP0 would try to avoid clashing with a Yonko because they don't want the information to get out, right? Like you kind of said, because they're trying to keep their secrecy potentially. Like,
No, no. I'm saying, I think CP0 wouldn't want to clash with a Yonko because CP0 is meant to represent the Gorosei. And if CP0 attacks a Yonko, that means that the Gorosei wants problems with the Yonko. That's what I think. I don't think they're doing it just to keep them, because I don't think their existence is a secret like CP9.
yeah,
I feel like people know them. CP9, people either heard of them and think they don't exist, or they heard of them and they think they do exist.
okay.
So I don't feel like CP0 is not trying to attack to keep their existence a secret. It's just that their actions represent someone bigger than them, which is the Gorosei.
Mm. All right. Do you, how you feel about that, Q? With Andrew just said.
I see what he means. I think I do agree with him because the whole cipher pole thing is kind of weird because even though we see them and we see a lot of recognizing them, it's still like a specific type of people that talk about them, like Sabo, like people that do have to deal with them. So that's also but that's just my issue with cipher pole. Why it's like it's hard to determine who exactly knows about them and who doesn't.
Mm. All right, Joy Boy. Joy Boy. So are like the Celestials trying to avoid problems with the Yonko, like via CP0,
Well, I don't.
right?
Well, the Celestials, they don't really care. I don't think really.
You don't think they care? You don't think they care about having problems with Yonko? You got Shanks just showing up at the Celestial
The
Dragon
Celestial Dragon.
or
No, they don't care.
the Gorosei's chambers and stuff. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
I agree with,
Like,
but I don't think celestial dragons care either because they seem to feel like
I
the
meant
Marines are like
I
the
meant the
biggest
Gorosei.
protectors.
I meant the
Oh, the
Gorosei.
Gorosei.
Yeah, that's what I
oh, the
meant.
Gorosei, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I meant the
Look, you
Gorosei.
see, think about it. Look at he defeated Kaido. He kicked out even though it's not him. Green Bull was kicked out. In terms of feats that he just had, Luffy is like the one Yonko that they shouldn't like tread lightly with.
Yeah.
True. Like, to me, like, the fact that they need permission from the Gorosei to attack the Yonko It makes sense.
Yeah, because I would assume like the Gorosei would want to try to take that fight on their own terms.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense that CP0 has to, they need orders because, like, they gotta, like, they're very mission oriented, right? So it's like they can't be doing stuff outside the scope of their mission. And every time they get sent out, it's usually for some type of mission, right? Like they not just getting sent out of the world just to go scout the world and everything. They're usually there, or I mean, well, that's false because they might go gain knowledge or gain intel and stuff. But even then, that's a mission. Intel gathering is still a mission. So they're always out there for some reason. There's always a mission behind why they're out and about. So, like, if you're out and about, you're just trying to get rid of Vegapunk, and then something happens where, like, now the Yonko is at Egghead. It's like, I can't just go starting like beef with a Yonko. You know what I mean? I can't just end up starting a whole war for the whole world government by picking on a Yonko. I need to, call up the Gorosei, see what they want me to do about this. So I kind of think that's pretty much the how that whole situation goes down and why they don't pick fights. It's just, when you got a mission, you can't be doing stuff out of the scope of the mission that could cause different problems. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
if it's just some like fodder pirate, right? Like, and he's just kind of in the way, okay, you know what I'm saying? I get it, because it's like he's getting in the way of the mission, and the repercussions of dealing with this person may not be as bad, versus somebody like a Yonko, who, when you look at Yonko, they're like sovereignty, right? They're like sovereigns, like they are emperors of the sea. They have territory. They have armies of guys. It's like a country. They're like almost a country. It's like, we got the U.S. and then you got other countries. You can't just go picking on like the king of another country. If it's like if a king comes to the U.S., they get diplomatic immunity. Like you can't hurt them, you can't touch them, even if you're a cop, you can't mess with them. You know what I'm saying? They got diplomatic immunity because if something happens to that king or president or dictator or whatever, that could potentially start a full on war with the U.S. in whatever country they're from. Even if they're completely in the wrong with what they're doing, even if they completely in the wrong with what they're doing, you still gotta be careful and delicate with how you deal with that situation. And I kind of see that similar in this situation as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't
like.
I'll say this and I'll let you go, Q. I don't think it's necessarily the Gorosei not wanting problems with the Yonko. It is, but it isn't. It isn't like, I don't think it's like the Gorosei themselves wanting personal problems with the Yonko. It's more of them not wanting problems for the whole world government as a whole because, that's their responsibility. But go ahead, Q.
And that whole sequence, and I always said, like, especially the last chapter, what Stussy did. He's the one that gave the order to everyone to inform the Marines, the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel like it's quite interesting that she was again the one that, like, I'm just wondering if she's like not playing a double game, considering that she was connected to Big News Morgan and Woolcake.
Yeah.
Wow.
Last chapter she didn't say the mines, and then now she's the one telling to inform the Navy that Luffy is here.
Yeah.